Hi you guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new, hi, I'm Mary. I post fashion, beauty, and health and wellness videos. But I just got back from a little walk on the treadmill. It's like early afternoon-ish. I just actually uploaded, I've been loving, I'll go and walk on the treadmill and I'll upload my TikTok. And then I've been uploading my TikToks to Reels as well. So I'll do that and then I'll do a YouTube short too. Just for funsies. So been loving doing that. That's actually a trick from Ariel Laurie. She was saying how she'll do content while she's like walking on the treadmill. And it's actually kind of the perfect way to do it. So anyways, just did that. And while I was walking after I finished doing my work, I was listening to Gals on the Go. They just uploaded a podcast and they were talking about friendships and relationships and just finding genuine people. And I was like, oh, I love that. And then I was looking at the analytics from my video that I did where I talked about dating and relationships, and it seemed like you guys really loved that. And I had some people reach out to me and say they really liked it. So I was like, okay, perfect. I feel like I should just do a deep dive into cultivating healthy relationships and friendships, and also just talk a little bit about my experiences with friendships and relationships, because I think I keep my circle pretty close. But I think that's really led to me having awesome and genuine friendships. And yeah, I just wanted to have a candid conversation about that, because I think it took me a long time to find my tribe. But I think I have found such genuine lifelong friends, as well as friends who are so fun and just get me. So yeah, I want to talk about that. And then I also want to talk about relationships and hookup culture and all of that stuff. So first let's talk about friendships, and then we can delve into the relationship stuff. So the friendship stuff, here's what I'm gonna say, you guys. So, and honestly, this video might be a little bit longer now that I'm just thinking about all what I need to unpack. So feel free to listen to this like a podcast if you want. Maybe go for a hot girl walk and listen to this, and just pop it in your pocket and listen to it like a podcast. But on friendships, I'm just gonna talk a little bit about my timeline with friendships. So here's the deal. In high school, had a really great group of friends. I actually had two separate groups of friends. I had a group of friends that I had grown up with, and then a group of friends that became a group of friends in high school, and they were all amazing. And the thing is my high school friends, they know me in a way that no one else knows me because they grew up with me. So I don't know if you're watching this, Mad, but my friend Maddie, she knows me no one else does, because she's known me since I was 5. And so I deeply value those friendships, so deeply value. And they're the type of friendships where I caught up with my friend Jen a couple weeks ago, and it's Jen and I hadn't talked for months, probably 10 months. But then we got on the phone and talked for 3 hours, and it felt like we hadn't stopped talking ever. That didn't make much sense, but you guys know what I mean. Anyways, and so I deeply, deeply cherish those friendships, and I'm so grateful for all they've taught me and all they've had, and those are friends that will just be in my life always. But I think then once I got into college, I obviously joined a sorority, and to be completely honest with you guys, I didn't really find my people in college. Until I had a friend that I was really close with in college, but other than that, I didn't have much of a friend group. I was pretty, I don't want to say independent, but I don't know. I didn't like the going out scene. I didn't like the party scene. I've never liked that. It overwhelms me. It makes me anxious, and I don't like drinking. I never have. And so I think Iowa is a really big party school, obviously. And so going into that, I was okay, well, I don't know if I'm gonna meet people if I don't go out. And I was told that by very close people in my life that Mary, if you wanna meet people, you're gonna have to go out. And I just had so much resistance there. And I'm here to tell you, you do not need to go out to meet people. Go where you want to like go to the places that you love, and you will find people who are like-minded. So like for me, I ended up finding my closest friends and frankly the love of my life at a yoga studio, literally at Hot House, because that's where I felt like I was most myself, and so did those people. And so like they were like-minded, and they like, I don't know why we overcomplicate it. Like if you want to meet people, go where you enjoy being, because then you'll find people that you enjoy being there, or that enjoy being there as well. Whereas like, okay, if you hate going out, but you were told that, oh, you're going to meet your friends going out, so then you start going out, you're going to meet friends who like going out. So I just think like finding your places is so essential. And for me, that's been really fundamental in my move to Chicago, because backtracking a little bit just to finish up the college thing, I ended up meeting my two like closest best friends, Nat and Grayson. I talk about them all the time. They are my girls. Like I fucking love them. Like they're my people. And I ended up meeting them in like my senior year of college. And honestly, like we all say like, oh my God, I wish we would have met sooner. But also like we all three know that like we weren't meant to meet sooner. And like also like we knew each other. Like that's the thing that's so wild, is like I grew up with Nat and Gray, like especially Gray. Like Gray and I have pictures together when we were like 3, and like I've known Nat since we were in like elementary school. And it's just like we just never like, it's crazy how those people can be there all along, but it's whenever the universe wants us to like open our mind to being like, open our mind and open our heart, that's when they can like reveal themselves and come into our life. And like I feel like I know a lot of people too who like that's how they found their significant other, is like, oh my God, like yeah, we grew up together, but we were just like whatevers, and then like now we're in love. You know what I mean? But so yeah, don't underestimate the power of the people who have been there all along. But so anyways, upon my move to Chicago, I had this amazing like tribe of like 3 badass girls who all had each other's backs, and now we all 3 live in different states. And that was really hard for me, you guys. But I feel like I'm a little bit on the other side of it, where like me and Nat and Gray are so close, like that will never change. Like we, I think, have done really well at the long distance thing. Like we stay in touch, we keep each other up to date, but like we also allow each other room to breathe and room to live, which I think is super important. And like none of us are the type of people who are obsessed with their phones. So like we don't really text much, but we catch up on the phone, and like that's how we connect. But I think finding ways that you connect if you do have to do the long distance friendship thing. But regardless, the meat and potatoes of this friendship part, what I wanted to talk about is like finding friends either at the beginning of college or post grad. And I kind of touched on the beginning of college. Go where you want to meet people, and the people will flock to you when you are in your genuine, true soul self. I truly believe that. Rather than people pleasing and like going where you think you should go to meet people. So that's really like the college part. Post grad, I feel like, in all honesty, like I have met people. First of all, I've rekindled past relationships that like, not even relationships that had fallen apart, just relationships with people that I like totally lost touch with. But I've also met people living in my building. I've met people at workout classes, and I've met people through social media. And I think that that is so slept on, like meeting people through social media. But it's not even been people that I've met. Like my friend Claire, I actually, like we went to all of college together, and like now we live in the same building, and it's like we have created a great relationship. And like we literally like it's just crazy that we went to college together. Like we were in the same business school, we were both in sororities, like all of those things. But like she didn't like come into my life until now. And like my friend Kate, which like Kate and I, it's so weird, you guys, like we've had such synchronous lives, and like we have come into each other's lives, or like we came into each other's lives my freshman year of college, and somehow like kind of stayed connected. And now she, like, we are so close and she's amazing, and like it's just a great friendship that I'm so grateful for. But it sparked from like social media. Like we kind of just like stayed connected that way. So I think like that's another great way to meet people. But I think with post-grad, it's really important to not rush into friendships. And honestly, with starting college and just friendships in general, I think sometimes when we feel alone, we trust people that we shouldn't necessarily trust. And at least this is what's happened to me. In the past, I have become friends with people who are completely and utterly toxic, in all honesty, because I felt in a space where I'm very alone in life, and that never goes well, because then you end up in a spiral with someone who is toxic, or who is just, honestly, they don't even have to be toxic, they could just not be your vibe, and you're in this friendship with them, and you tell them things that maybe you shouldn't tell them, and maybe they're not trustable, maybe they're not in the friendship for the right reasons. And in all honesty, like, this has taken experience, but like I'm able to tell why people are friends with me pretty easily. Like I think I'm a pretty straight shooter, and like I feel like on my channel I seem pretty, like, I'm bubbly, I'm like very just like lighthearted, but I also like love my routine, things like that. But like all in all, like I'm analytically minded, I'm pretty to the point, I'm a straight shooter, and so I know when someone's bullshitting me. Like I'm not stupid. Not that like if you fall for someone's bullshit you're stupid, it's just like I've been burned by people before, and I just know when people's intentions aren't good. And so I think that especially as I've gotten older, something that's proved to be very valuable is taking things slow. And I would say this in relationships too, but we're gonna get to that in a second. But with friendships, treat it as you would like a dating relationship. You don't wanna fall too fast. And I think there's so many parallels with close friendships and relationships that like people think are weird to talk about, but I actually think that they're very valuable to talk about, because I think you can fall into a friendship like you can fall in love, where like if you get too close with someone, it's really easy to get burned. And like I've had friend breakups, as I like to call them, like friendships that are no longer, and sometimes those can burn worse than like a relationship ending, or like you talking to someone and them ghosting you. Like that can burn. And I think just going into things with your intentions clear, your mind clear, and in a confident state is so important to not getting burned. So when you're making new friends, it's similar to dating. Like you're gonna hang out with people that you don't necessarily vibe with, and you're going to hang out with people that you're like, oh my gosh, this is great, and maybe they don't vibe with you. And that's totally okay. But I think going into making new friendships with really clear intentions, really like a confident, secure, steady state, as well as a little bit of, I can't find the word I'm looking for, but just going in with like being a little timid, I think is very important, because just taking things slowly is always so important. So I don't believe in laying it all out on the table. Don't tell someone your deepest, darkest secrets right away, because you never know who they are. And like, frankly, not everyone has good intentions. Like they're not. Like, I think everyone does have good intentions at heart, maybe, like even below a lot of evil, but like people are immature. And when you tell people things that aren't the right person to tell, they can manipulate you. And so I think it's very important to just like be clear. So that's what I would say with friendships. And I don't want to give it a negative light, but I think a lot of people get burned. And like, I know, like I'm telling you guys, like I haven't been burned by a friendship in a long time, but like I've been burned by people before, and it doesn't feel good. And like, it's not on you. And like, yeah, it's not on you. It's all about them. And the way that people treat you has everything to do with them and nothing to do with you. And so just like, I'm saying this, I'm repeating myself a lot, but like keeping your intentions clear going into friendships and like calling in people who are like-minded to you. So like literally, you guys, when I moved to Chicago, in my manifestations journal every morning, I wrote down, I have amazing friendships here in Chicago that parallel my friendships to Nat and Gray. Here are the qualities that my solid girlfriends here have, and here are the qualities that they don't have. And genuinely, like, I found such amazing people here who are so dope, so genuine, so fun to be around, really raise my vibe. I also think a huge tip with friendships and relationships is pay attention to how you feel after you're with them and while you're with them. Do they raise your vibe or not so much? And the thing is not all of my friendships like totally raise my vibe. Like, not all of my friendships I leave feeling like 1000% better after I hang out with them. Yes, my closest friendships, I do feel that way, but not all of them. And that's totally okay. Not all of your friendships are going to be your closest friendships. And I think that's also another thing, is like putting up boundaries. Like, I know some of my friends aren't ever going to be my like soulmates. But I also know some of them that are my soulmates. And the thing is like, the friends that are my soulmates, they know that. Like, they already know, like there's an unspoken bond between us. Like, for example, like, I know she won't care if I'm saying this, and like, we always talk about this, like, my friend Hannah, she was my grandbag in my sorority. Like, her and I, like, we've always known, like, we're soul sisters. Like, we just have this bond where it's like, we are both on the same page in our friendship. We're both on like the same page in life. We just get each other. And like, that's something that like I value so deeply. And anytime I like get off the phone with her, I feel 1000% better, because I just feel so grounded and clear and like just happy. Whereas like after I hang out with, for example, my friend Kate, I feel like 1000% better, because like she's just so happy, and like we crack up and like we just joke and have so much fun, but we also have like great serious conversations. And so that's like a different facet of friendship where like I still feel 1000% better. So I don't know if that made any sense in terms of the friendships, but I just really wanted to touch on that, because I think a lot of the times people rush into friendships and don't actually know their friends that well before like pouring their hearts out to them. And so I think just like be clear. And also something that anytime I'm feeling lonely, I think about is a quote by, it might be by Wayne Dyer, but I can't remember. And it's, you can't be lonely if you like the person you're alone with. And so just like going back to that before even searching for friendships, that's key. Because if you don't like yourself, you're going to attract people who don't like themselves. And that's not fun to be around. Whereas if you're comfortable being alone, this is the same thing with relationships. You're solid. So that's my piece on friendships. Now let's kind of move into the relationships. I think there are so many parallels here. I have already talked about that, so a lot of the things might overlap, but I'm also just gonna like leave the friendships part as it is and like take things from the friendships into your romantic relationships. But I think especially for romantic relationships, I am so big on masculine and feminine. So I'm going to, I have a feminine I don't like talking about things in terms of boy and girl, because that is just so old fashioned, not the case. I'm like at all. And so I'm going to talk a lot about masculine and feminine, because I do truly believe that every relationship has a masculine piece and a feminine piece. I think that they can be interchangeable, but I think usually there's one person in the relationship that holds a more masculine energy, and there's one person in the relationship that holds a more feminine energy. And so for Blake and I can say like I tend to hold the more feminine energy and he tends to hold the more masculine energy. But that's not all of the relation. Like, I have friends that are in heterosexual relationships where the guy holds some more feminine and the girl holds some more masculine energy. And there's nothing wrong with that. My relationship, just, that's not the case. So I find that a lot of the fights that Blake and I get in happen to be when I'm trying to take on the more masculine persona, and so is he. And then we just like start to butt heads, if that makes sense. Anyways, that was like a little side piece. But for relationships and dating in general, I think it's important to go in with a clear headspace as well. And I talked about this a little bit in my vlog when I was talking about dating advice and stuff. Where again, you can't be lonely if you like the person you're alone with. So first, get to know yourself, fall in love with yourself, and like honestly, fly high, baby, because like once you truly love yourself, you just can't get burned in the same way, because you don't take things nearly as personally. And believe me, I'm not saying like I'm the queen of self-love. Like, we're all on this journey. But I will say that I think I love myself a hell of a lot more than I did 5 years ago. And I think that's taken a lot of work and a lot of reflection and a lot of spending time alone and a lot of spending time with other people to figure that out. And I think also like a lot of breath work, a lot of meditation, all of the things have helped me to love myself more. But I'm not saying I'm like the queen of it, because I definitely have moments of like, oh my God, married, you know? But I just think that going into dating, hooking up, whatever, with the intention of I'm doing this because I love myself, not I'm doing this because I hate myself, that's a key differentiator. So like I said, I was going to talk about hookup culture. I think that is like key in hooking up. Like, I'm just going to be honest, that's never been my vibe. Never been my thing. That's what I'm going to say about it. But if that is your thing, pop off, sis. But what are your reasons, and are they the right reasons? Because I think there are right reasons. If you're going into like, if you're hookup queen, hookup king, whatever, hookup prince, princess, go off. But are you doing it because you love yourself, or are you doing it because you hate yourself? Because if you're doing it because you hate yourself, then you're gonna get burned, because you're gonna take those things personally. Where like if someone hooks up with you, or whatever, you hook up with someone and then they ghost you, you're gonna be like, what's wrong with me? Like, why wasn't I good enough? Whereas if you're going into it because you love yourself, they hook up with you, they try and ghost you, and you're like, hey, like, if you don't want this to be a thing anymore, like, it doesn't have to be, but like actually be verbal maybe. Or you just like leave it be. Honestly, I think the best, going back to that, I think the best response is no response. That's like my key to everything, is if someone says something negative towards me, sometimes I have a moment of weakness and I say something that maybe snarky back, but I think key is no response. Like, you can't be ghosted if you just don't respond. That's what I would say. Like, I remember I talked to this guy before Blake and I were dating, and I might have talked about this a little bit, I don't remember. But he, oh my God, I had a dream about him last night. Shut up, that's so weird. Synchronicities, right? But he, I wonder how he's doing now. He, like, I think I texted him and like he didn't respond, whatever. And then he just never responded. And I remember I wanted to text him so bad. And my sister was like, Mary, don't text him. Don't text him. If he wants to talk to you, he'll talk to you. And that's like key. If he wants to talk to you, he'll talk to you. The masculine personality type is, and the masculine persona, I'll say. And like, if you have questions or like arguments about masculine and feminine in relationships, I strongly suggest you look into some of Tony Robbins' stuff. And also just like, there's a ton of books about like masculine and feminine energies in life and in love. But the masculine persona and the masculine energy tends to be more standoffish than the female, or the feminine, the feminine. I think I was just thinking that I'm a female, so anyways. Then the feminine, so they tend to be more standoffish with those things, whereas like for me, I have the feminine energy type, so when that guy didn't text me back, I was like seeking something. I was like, no, like if he doesn't want to talk to me anymore, like why doesn't he just like tell me that? Like why doesn't he text me back? Why does he not want to be with me? Whatever, whatever, whatever. And obviously I was in a very different point in my life then than I am now, but like sending that girl love and like also praising her because she never texted him. And then of course he tried to like slide into my DMs like a month later. I was like, no, peace. But I think like that is key too with like, if he wants to talk to you, he'll talk to you. Or if they want to talk to you, they'll talk to you. Or if she wants to talk to you, like she'll talk to you. Because like, I mean, it doesn't get more simple than that. And I think honestly that goes back to friendships too. Like if they want to talk to you, they'll talk to you. Like me and my friend Kate were talking about one-sided friendships, I think like a while ago, but it stuck out to me because it's so true. Like one-sided friendships, there's nothing worse than that. And like, you know, if it's a one-sided friendship, if it's a one-sided hookup, if it's a one-sided relationship, it's gotta go. Because that person does not value you as much as you value them. And you don't deserve that. Like, you don't. Like, you're worthy of so much more. So, like, just let it go, you know? Like, it's hard to do, but I think especially once you start, like, taking, like, power moves like that, like, letting things, like, friendships and relationships go that no longer serve you and that, like, they're not putting nearly as much effort in as you are, like, then you start to value yourself so much more, and then you call in people who actually value you. So it's a total spiral effect. But what else did I want to talk about with relationships? Honestly, you guys, I think it really all just comes back to self-love and self-confidence. Like, set your intentions, get clear on what you want. I mean, I think I've talked about this like 1,000 times on here, but I straight up manifested Blake, and it was when I was in a super confident, super secure, super loving point in my life. I was hanging out with like my girls, like I had the best summer ever, and I was loving myself so much. I was so confident, so secure, and then this confident, secure, hot, amazing guy came into my life because I was in the place in my life where I was attracting that without even realizing it. So I also think like getting clear on what you need out of a relationship, not necessarily just what you want, is really important. So like for me, and honestly I didn't even realize this like when Blake came into my life, but thank God for the universe because it just provided what I needed. And I needed someone who I tend to, for the most part, take on a very feminine persona. So I needed a very masculine man. I'm attracted to men, so like I need a very masculine man. And Blake is very masculine. But I also needed someone who, I have a pretty big personality. I needed someone who was a little bit more subdued and more of a listener. And I also am pretty anxious, so I needed someone who was grounding. And so we balance each other out, the yin and the yang, the masculine and feminine, and I think in a really beautiful way. And so finding someone not just that you want, but that you need. And I think that just comes with getting to know yourself. My camera's flashing red, so this is my sign to wrap up. I hope you guys enjoyed this little rant. Let me know if you guys have any questions. DM me always. And don't forget to like and subscribe because it really supports my channel. Yeah, let me know if you have any video requests. If you like this, give it a like because that helps me to see like, oh, they actually liked this. And I know a lot of you who watch aren't subscribed, so why are you not subscribed? It really supports my channel. And yeah, thank you guys. I'll see you in my next vlog. Bye.